It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everybody to our March 21st regular meeting. And as always, we'll open with an invocation. I'll call on Commissioner Stoney Russian for that.
Thank you. Join me if you'd like. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come here to do the business of the people of Union County. We pray that you would be with us in the decisions we make and grant wisdom to us to make the right decisions. In your precious name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up, we have the proclamation and awards, procurement department. Mr. Manager, you want to do the reading, and then I'll present the hardware?
Absolutely. So we're here to honor the...
Sorry. Michelle was supposed to do it. I'm sort of, it called for Michelle.
Fine. Go ahead. I will defer to the subject matter expert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Tonight, we are recognizing our procurement director and her team, Cheryl Wright, and her staff for recognition of the Procurement Department 2021 Sustained Professional Purchasing Award, or the SPPA. The Union County Procurement Department met the requirements to receive the Carolinas Association of Governmental Purchasing 2021 Sustained Professional Purchasing Award, and it was presented during the March 16th, 2022 Annual Association Banquet and Awards presentation in Raleigh on March the 16th. The procurement team responded to critical application questions and requirements that required submitting substantial documentation. The SPPA award is presented annually by the NCAGP to member agencies that have demonstrated excellence in purchasing standards during the calendar year. And we want to recognize Cheryl and her team for all the great work they've done. You all have been able to see Cheryl for the last few times, and I think what you're seeing is a culmination of the work that she does, the good work that she and her team do for the organization. So thank you very much. Come on, team.
Cheryl, why don't you introduce all the members of your team to the folks at home?
Thank you, because it's definitely a team effort. Couldn't do it without them. So, as I call your name, step up. So I've got Melba Floyd, and she's our team member that handles the contracts and helps with P-card. Then we've got Ava Strawn, and Ava helps with P-card contracts, bidding. She helps us with a lot. And then we've got Corey Brooks, and Corey is our procurement specialist as well, and so is Ava, who helps us with a number of bids, as well as Corey's over our surplus program. And then we've got Vicki Watts, and she's also a senior procurement specialist, and she helps us with a myriad of bids and helps with a lot of HHS items. We just all work together to get it done. Oh, okay.
And I grew up near Miss Vicki. She was in the King family. They were the King skating ring. And I was looking at the plaque, and it's 6 consecutive years, so that's quite a record. And there's 6 more spaces, and I know.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. informal comments, and we have one person signed up, Mr. Harold Schumacher. Am I saying that right? Shoemaker. I think I've said it 3 different ways.
That's okay. I'm used to it. Good evening. I want to thank Commissioner Rushing for asking for more information and your staff to provide it. And I'm here tonight just to kind of hear what they have to say. You know, I really want to see the most accurate data and the right stuff come out of this. So, but I'm here tonight just to provide some additional information. The death certificates that we counted or upstairs are the deaths for anyone that died in Union County. So there can be people that were in Hanson County or other counties that died here. There could be people from Union County that died in other counties. But it doesn't really diminish, I don't think, the value of the data. We counted 108 COVID deaths, combined secondary and primary. And the official numbers was 98 from Union County, so there was about a variance of 10. So I would suggest that, I would think that would mean 10 more people died here than went other places. So last time I was here, I spoke to you about the all-cause mortality and that it went up by 332 deaths, which is very, something to really look into. But tonight I want to talk more about the COVID deaths, reported COVID deaths that we found. In 2020, there was 108 that we counted. And if in 2021, if the deaths went down, you'd say, hey, the vaccine worked, it did its job. If there was no change, you'd say, hey, it's ineffective, it didn't do anything, it didn't do any good. If it went up, you'd say, hey, there's a problem here, this vaccine's causing an issue. If it went way up, well, then you'd be what we have today. We had a 275% increase from 2020 to 2021, 298 that we had counted. I don't know what the official tally would be, I couldn't find it anywhere, but that's significant. So whether you look at it from all cause or just COVID deaths, both of them say, wait a minute, there's a problem with the COVID vaccines. I have a copy of a death certificate from a friend, and the doctors admitted that the vaccine was to blame. His daughter sent me a copy of the death certificate. They listed the vaccine as a secondary cause, and shamefully they listed COVID as the primary. Obviously, they collect their $13,000. At the end of his life, they put him on a ventilator for a little bit. They collected $39,000. So, they collected their money, but he never wanted the vaccine. His doctors coerced him into getting it. They pushed him, said, you have to get this, you're vulnerable. Immediately after he got it, he had severe cramps in his legs and developed the worst gout his doctors had ever seen. He had 10 months of excruciating pain until he died. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here speaking to you guys, because it's I see it. I see the numbers everywhere. I'm reading about it, and it's really unfortunate. But I'm happy to see that you guys are looking into this, and I'd like to see the right information come out and hopefully something done about it. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our informal comments. Next, we have staff recognition. And I had the privilege last week of going out to Health and Human Services and witnessing the actual awards. And it's something to see. And Commissioner Simpson, I did tell them your comment about how you were so proud that they didn't have to work in that cave that they used to be in, and they realized you were. No, you call it just the conditions. Okay, we have Sarah Cashman from 911 Communications, 5 years. Greta Sechrist, 911 Communications, 5 years. Heather Howey, Finance, 5 years. Kevin Merrill, Public Works, 5 years. Joshua Eubank, Sheriff's Office, 5 years. Ryan Smith, Sheriff's Office, 5 years. Junior Espino, Transportation, 5 years. Javier Perez, Human Services, Building Ops, 10 years. And if you hadn't met Javi, you need to meet Javi. Benjamin Isley, Office of Legal Counsel, 10 years. Christopher Allen, Sheriff's Office, 10 years. Lindsay Richards, Sheriff's Office, 10 years. Shelley Fern, Library, 15 years. Christopher McTeague, Sheriff's Office, 15 years. Tamara Blunt, Social Services, 15 years. Floyd Smith, Tax Administration, 25 years. And our March retirement, John Young, Sheriff's Office, 21 years. We thank all these people for their dedication. Okay, now the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to move that we modify the consent agenda by removing item 22-178, which is fiscal year 2022 short water line extension program, applicant selection recommendation for additional projects. I've had some questions just about some of these lots, and I would like some time to get some information from staff before this comes before the board for consideration. So I would ask that that be removed.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sheriff, I hope you get your vehicles this time. You know, you get to hear some of the details. Mark told us this was the third time that we'd issue a purchase order for the same vehicles. Chevrolet, and then they cancel. Dodge, and they cancel. And now Ford. Ford will deliver, because you know I drive a Ford and you drive a Dodge, so. But you always tell me I'm sorry for you. But I hope Ford delivers. Okay, we move on to our business section. Union County Public Schools, UCPS 22 construction bond request. And
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
were we going to move?
I'm sorry.
22-185 off of information only to business for? Or were you on?
We are going to move, yes. Stoney, we were going to move that to business. Okay, we'll move it to the last item. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might, I was asked by a gentleman we got in the crowd tonight, Brandon Reeves, who does a lot of good work in the community, about an item that he had. Brandon, you're approved if you need to go back to work selling cars. You're good. I think he was told to be here tonight, and he said, I'm not dressed. I said, you're fine. Come on in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Information only, I'm sorry. John Shutak? Or is that just information and we don't present? Okay.
The
I've
water
had kind
treatment
of a rough
capacity is
day.
information only. We were just moving item 22-185 to the
Okay.
last item of business
Okay.
for further information.
I've had an exciting day, so I know I'm going to make some mistakes. I've already made some, so. All right, on the business, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Lancaster, Deputy County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, the first item you have is Union County Public Schools 2022 construction bond request, and Colin Moore, Assistant Superintendent, is here to provide a brief presentation on the formal request from the Board of Education. And he's also here for the next item if you want to move into that one without recognizing me. That would be fine.
Okay.
There you go. He'll give me that on the
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
to see you. I'm trying to get this presentation pulled up. Bear with me a second. All right. Once again, good evening. As Ms. Lancaster said, we are here formally requesting the addition of the 2022 proposed bond request on the November 2022 ballot. I've got just a little bit of information here for you. This is information that we did share with you at the, I think it was January 25th joint meeting between the Board of Education and the Board of County Commissioners. In addition to myself, I have Ms. Heintel with the Board of Education here tonight, and Ms. Shannon McLam, our Chief Financial Officer. So hopefully if there's any questions I can't answer, they can help you. Just a couple of little recap and timeline. June of 2020, we started the process for the 2022 bond. May 2021, the ad hoc committee was formed. And in March of 2022, which is where we are now, we're bringing this bond request to you for inclusion on the November 2022 ballot. Couple and notes that we did discuss in February, I want to highlight once again, the ad hoc committee that was formed to evaluate the bond in the process had utilized a 4% inflation rate. As most of you probably know, and we discussed in January, the construction market has seen a significant increase in that inflation rate, so we have bumped that to a 6% to cover what we would think would be inflation and escalation pricing that has occurred in the last 8 to 10 months in the construction market. One other project that we did do to try to do some money savings was we accelerated the Forest Hills completion project. As you know, we have begun design on that. We had a 24-month construction project duration. We have slimmed that down and anticipate completing that project in 2024 instead of in 2025. That reduced the estimated cost of that project by about $5.8 million. I've got listed here the projects that are included in the 2022 school construction plan. These projects are here. I won't read those for you. Glad to answer any questions you may have. We've represented the cost in 2020 dollars, and we've also included the escalation cost with 6% inflation for each of those projects. Total is $149,256,459. I think the actual formal request is for $149,256,500. The next few slides that I won't go into, but that you have access to, are just descriptive. Again, this is information that was provided at both the May 2021 meeting and the January 25th meeting. Just a little summary of the projects that we got going on for the various projects in the 2022 bond. I'm going to blow by those unless you have specific questions about any of those projects. Includes, I'll just highlights, we've got a replacement at Forest Hills and an East Elementary replacement. We're doing some design work at East Union Middle and Parkwood High. We are doing some design and construction for field houses at Marvin Ridge High and Porter Ridge High. We're doing some design work for new facilities and warehouse project on land that we currently own we just constructed our new transportation center. We have some design money in for a new CTE school, phase 1 in the old bus garage on Venus Street. We have also included some money for program contingency. And this slide that I've also included here, because we always get asked the question, what happened to such and such project? Because people may think that we had included that in the 2022 bond, when in fact it may be a 24-25 or a 26-27 bond. As far as formal presentation, that's all I have. I'll entertain any questions.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the resolution that the school board passed, I think it was earlier this month, you had identified, let's see, capital needs that exceed $882 million.
For the 6 to 8 year plan, I think.
Yeah, I think over the next 4 cycles, 2022, 2024, 2026, 2028.
Should be really close to the number I've got pulled up on the screen, the 882, 367.
Okay. Does this include the 6% inflation factor or the original 4%?
These numbers do include the 6% inflation factor.
Okay. And I think the language of the resolution was that exceeds, capital needs that exceed $882 million. So it might be $900 million, it might be $1 billion. Is that fair to say?
I think over the long haul, that could be the case. What we've established here are the needs that we see in 2020 over those 6-year inflation periods.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Commissioner Rushing.
And we've applied for a grant that will possibly cover for $50 million for Forest Hills.
Yeah, so about a week ago, I was here asking for your signature on a grant application that we made for the needs-based public school fund. Again, that's a grant that we have not typically received in the past, but we're encouraged to participate. We got word that they did receive our packages. We got some verbiage. I don't have those numbers on how many people had applied, but we anticipate having an answer on that by the middle of April. And that is $50 million for the Forest Hills project, and I think $27.4 million for the East Elementary replacement project.
That's amazing, Colin. I hope it comes through.
I hope it works out as well. Thank you.
All right.
Commissioner,
Thank you, sir.
Ray,
Yes,
can I ask a
Commissioner
question?
Hale.
I'm reading the description on the Marvin Ridge construction, and I know that we had conversation in the past, and actually we were shown a example of what was built at Sun Valley. And now we're talking design would add offices, office space, restrooms, meeting and training space for school transportation. I mean,
So we have, kind of like, if you will, satellite offices for transportation. This would be more, this is not in the field house area, but it's the central plant, a central plant addition for those office spaces.
Because I was told originally that the field house was $1.5 million, and you're still talking $1.5 million. I'm just trying to understand.
Can I help?
Yep.
Okay. The difference with Sun Valley is Sun Valley doesn't have a central plant. So there's two schools, right, Porter Ridge and Marvin, that have a central plant. So in between the middle school and the high school is the central plant. All the HVAC, everything that's run there. What they want to do is put some bathrooms in there for and right outside of the central plant is where the.
I'm familiar with the
school
one at Marvin, okay? The
Wait,
central
but-
plant.
Right, but that's where the buses are.
Okay.
So the bus drivers could go in, go to the bathroom, they
Okay.
could have meetings there. It wouldn't be connected to the field house, separate. Two separate things happening with that project.
Okay. And that's going, price is going to still stay 1.5 with
It always,
inflation?
I think it always includes central plant, even though we may not have put it in the headline. But it always include the central plant.
Okay,
But and Porter Ridge has the exact same thing.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Okay, Colin, if you would, go ahead to the Union County Public Schools land acquisition request.
Excuse me, we also included on the next item, a request for some land at Parkwood High School. This information, our Board of Education approved this at the March meeting, basically adding about 12 point, get my numbers right, total of 12.206 acres on the east, kind of northeast side of the existing Parkwood campus. This will allow us to do a planned expansion that we have or planned replacement project at Parkwood. And this land will it will have road access on Rocky River Road. There's one parcel that connects to a piece of property that's fronts on Crow Road, but we're not obtaining that property. We've negotiated a price to allow that residence and that house to stay while still giving us road frontage on the Rocky River. Total price on that is $245,000. We got the information here that shows you combined appraised value of about $250,000.
Any questions? We need to take a vote on that. Okay. I will make a motion to authorize the schools to purchase this property up to $250,000 as requested. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, South Piedmont Community College, bond request. Michelle.
Mr. Chairman and board members, this is similar to the request you just heard from UCPS. This is the bond request from South Piedmont Community College for a 2022 construction bond. And Michelle Brock, Vice President of Finance and Administration, is here to provide a brief presentation.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Dr. Farr would love to be here, but she has been asked to speak on the House Education Subcommittee tonight, and that is why she is not here. So as we shared with the county commissioners, South Piedmont's 2022 bond request totals $71,604,000, and that includes 3 projects. It includes the Center for Entrepreneurship, a Public Safety Training Center, and the Aseptic Training Center. The Center for Entrepreneurship is a shared partnership with Wingate University to help local businesses and entrepreneurs establish and scale up their businesses. This center will support modern technology and flexibility by designing spaces and programs that cater to corporate and small business training and education. And the programs are designed to provide background and experiences for multiple levels within the corporate world. Individuals can begin training in technical areas and then return later to train for higher level positions. Our Small Business Center would relocate to this new facility where it can provide direct support to the local businesses of Union County. Coupled with business programs and experiential learning opportunities, the Small Business Center and this Center for Entrepreneurship would give Union County a uniquely impactful economic development tool to support long-term job growth and increase corporate tax revenue. And the center would also directly support the Union County Chamber of Commerce and the Monroe-Union County Economic Development Office in their work to attract and support businesses. Our next priority is the Public Safety Training Center. We have been working to meet the challenges of this growing and vital public safety sector to create opportunities for North Carolina's protective service personnel to receive the skills that they need to keep us all safe. But simply put, the college needs more capacity. And to that end, South Piedmont seeks to build and launch a comprehensive public safety training facility in Union County that would provide the experiential, simulated, and classroom-based training for the public safety sector that includes fire, law enforcement, and EMS divisions. This facility is a response to the needs expressed across the public safety sectors and was conceptually designed by personnel who were highly engaged with and respected by our local public safety agencies. And our third project in this bond request is an aseptic training facility. With support from Glenmark Pharmaceuticals and our local delegation, South Piedmont received $15 million from the General Assembly for constructing an aseptic facility, but construction costs have been calculated at $25 million. We currently have $6 million available to add to the project, but we need additional funding to complete the construction. This facility would provide the foundational training and education to support the rapid expansion of biotechnology and healthcare companies in the region and help ameliorate the labor shortage of qualified applicants. And as you'll remember that we mentioned, the closest similar training center is located 150 miles away, which creates a hardship for workers who require ongoing training and severely limits the opportunity for apprenticeships and other work-based learning experiences for new talent. This training center would teach students new skills demanded by North Carolina employers such as microbiology, clean room design and control, environmental monitoring, cleaning and disinfection, component preparation, sterile filtration, sterilization methods, and clean room behavior, and many other regulated procedures useful for this new high-tech industrial economy. Locally, we have several pharmaceutical, life science, and medical device companies who could benefit from use of this facility. So investment in training for these jobs will generate a substantial return on investment. These projects are critical for South Piedmont to continue its mission of lifelong learning and community and workforce development, and we're very grateful for your support. And I'm happy to answer any questions. We look forward to working with you on this bond process.
Commissioner Helms.
Yes, can you give me a breakdown of the 3 projects? If you got 15, you had 6, that says you need $4 million for the...
With escalation, let me pull that out. On the aseptic training facility with escalation, which we use the same 6% as Union County Public Schools, that total is $5,760,000.
How about the entrepreneurship and the public safety.
Entrepreneurship, if I can, I need some glasses, $32,724,000. And then public safety is $33,120,000. And again, though, all of those are with 6% inflation.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience building a house right now, I think your 6% is real low.
Optimistic,
I mean, shingles are anticipated April 1st to go up 20%.
yes.
So it's a crazy market.
It definitely is.
Any other discussion? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to the appointment to the Board of Equalization and Review. We need to appoint one member to the board. Raymond Brooks' term on the Board of Equalization and Review expired in February 2022, and this vacancy has been advertised. Mr. Brooks has applied for reappointment. No other applications have been received. Stoney?
Motion to reappoint Mr. Raymond Brooks.
All right, we have a motion to reappoint him. All in favor? Aye. Okay, now, Michelle, I'm going to turn over to the Dennis Joyner, turn over the consent item we pulled off.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. During the recent Board of Commissioner meeting, during public comments, as was mentioned earlier by Mr. Schumacher, there was a question raised about the reason for increased 2021 all-cause mortality in Union County and whether it might be a result of COVID vaccine injury. This question was raised based on information gathered by the speaker and reference data that was also provided in a previous email. I do want to point out that this is an important question and certainly one that deserves to be researched. However, there are some confounding factors that need to be addressed in order to conduct a valid analysis of that information. And particularly that analysis is really beyond the scope of what we're able to do locally and something that the state would be in a better position to do. The first one was kind of alluded to earlier. In looking at trends over all-cause deaths over the last, say, 10 to 15 years, the state health center, the State Center for Health Statistics provides that information, and they look at resident deaths going back. They take all of the deaths that occur, whether it's in Mecklenburg County, Cabarrus County, Stanley, or Union County, that are residents of Union County, put those together and determine what those causes of death were, how many were there, and they report that information on the state site. And that does create a trend. That information takes about a year and a half, sometimes 2 years, to gather all of that information, because you have to get information from even like South Carolina. People in Union County die in South Carolina, and that information has to transmit to Raleigh. So the data lags. And so I know that in looking at 2020 and 2021 data, the effort was made to look at what those causes of death are and in relation to COVID, since we're in the middle of the pandemic. As was alluded to and mentioned earlier, one of the problems with that is if you're just looking at data from Union County, from our Register of Deeds, that preliminary information is for deaths occurring in Union County. So as has been mentioned, if you died in Union County but you lived in Mecklenburg or Anson County, we would have that registered death certificate here in Union County. I say all that to say that in terms of looking at that data, those two data sets they're different data sets. And so it's difficult to compare from 2019 to 20 and 21, to 2020 and 2021. That information is something that we would need to wait to see what that trend looks like to see if it does continue. I will point out that, and based on our information, let me back up. Another thing that, in terms of looking at the number of deaths that we recorded in Union County, I talked with the State Vital Records Office, or had staff to contact them, and they indicated that in 2023 there was 273 deaths due to COVID, and that we had seen a 217 death increase from 20 to 21, based on information that they had. Now that's preliminary information. So you can see in that regard that clearly, yes, there was an increase, but it also, if you look at the number of deaths, and particularly COVID deaths, at 273, that a large portion of that was result of COVID deaths. I want to point out also that in terms of looking at death certificates, the clinician at the hospital, typically that's where the death occurs, they're responsible for determining clinically what the cause of death is. And there can be multiple causes. There is an immediate cause of death, and then there are typically three spaces for underlying causes of death. In terms of looking at causes of death, the state and nationally look at all of those causes, because for the most part, the vast majority of deaths that occur are going to be acute, respiratory or cardiac arrest. I mean, everybody, your heart stops beating or you stop breathing. I mean, that's going to be what causes most people to die. So you don't get enough specificity. So that's why they want to look at what those underlying causes of deaths are. So all of those causes of deaths that are listed are actually looked at and included as causes of death. So to just look at COVID deaths that may be the primary cause or the main listed cause is not the way the state and the national review of death certificates or processing of death certificates occurs. They look at all of the causes. That's why I was saying that the number of deaths that occurred between 2021 and 2020 and 2021 was the 273. So the other thing I wanted to share was that there have been studies that are indicating that nationally, not just here in North Carolina, but elsewhere, that they're anticipating that there's going to be an increase in all-cause mortality. That's not really unusual, that we would see an increase as well. There's nothing unique necessarily about us, but it is an important question to understand what the causes of increases are. Is it COVID? Is it other aspects? Is it delayed care? And therefore, there's other factors that may have occurred during this pandemic state that we've been in that may have contributed to some of those deaths. So I want to just state here that I understand the question, the concern of why, and if we do see these increased numbers of cases as the data gets finalized by the state, so we're really comparing apples and apples, it'll be important to fully assess and understand what's causing that, and so that we have an understanding. that is definitely a valuable and important piece of information to gather. In terms of looking at vaccine safety, there have been many studies that have looked at the safety of the vaccine. And so, at least from a public health standpoint and the CDC and the state's perspective, we're basing the vaccine rollout and encouragement based on the data that have been seen through those safety studies that have been conducted. And so that's what's been driving that so far, and we'll continue to do so. I think if there are other things that evolve, we certainly want to know about that. But right now we need to, I would certainly seek to continue to get the state or ask the state to, continue to look and assess the increasing numbers, what we anticipate to be increasing numbers of all-cause deaths, and fully assess and analyze, why is that? Because that's going to be something that's a little bit beyond what our capability is here to fully research.
Commissioner Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you and Michelle, because I know you've been doing a lot of work on this, and I talked to Michelle this morning about maybe some kind of letter that she was thinking about for the state to ask the question of the state level, because, whether that person comes from Anson County or Chesterfield or even Lancaster County to Union County and then passes away, that we may see something. But if you look at it maybe on a statewide level, that would help. Do we know how many are in the hospital today? Are we in an overcrowded position still at the hospital with COVID patients?
No.
Are we?
The numbers, I think the last numbers on Friday was, it was less than 10.
Less than 10 people in the hospital with COVID now? And
the numbers have dropped dramatically since the Omicron surge has dropped.
So pretty quickly it drops. So that's, now might be the time again that if, the state would look at it and give us some more information so we can make decisions here locally, or even the decision probably should be made at the state level, not even just county by county, but the state level. But no, thank y'all for all your information, and I got good information from Michelle this morning. We had a good discussion, and I hope, Mr. Shoemaker, that helps we get information too for your knowledge and the other folks who've been concerned about this. So do we need, you want to talk about the letter you were telling me about this morning?
Dennis referenced it, and I think just to be more clear, if the board is interested in us sending something to the state, we're more than happy to do that, to make it clear to them that we think this is something that should be looked at the state level. We would say that ourselves, I think, professionally, but we're happy to draft something on behalf of the board that could go to the state to let them know that this is a topic of concern for the county, that we think as they're finalizing those numbers between 20 and 21, if there are causes that they're seeing or numbers that look unusual, which we expect them to look high, as Dennis indicated, that they do additional research to let us know if there's anything that we should be paying closer attention to, that kind of thing. We're perfectly comfortable doing that if the board would like us to do that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize y'all to write that letter and going ahead and sign off on it without bringing it back to us.
And we're
Just
happy to send it to all of you. You can see
send it
what
to
we're
all
sending.
of us.
Yes.
All in favor of that motion? Aye. I will say one thing. I lost 3 friends to COVID before the vaccine come out. And I'm no doctor, but I know all these families wish that the vaccine had been available. There was nothing to treat them with when they got COVID, and they said they would love to have had a chance at the vaccine. So I think it's something you can't second guess, but I have 3 friends that are gone, a lot of grown children that don't have a father now. So thank you, Dennis. Okay, Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have one item to bring to your attention that may be of interest to you. Today, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Union County Emergency Services, along with the City of Monroe Fire Department, the City of Monroe Fire Department Special Operations Teams, Union EMS, and Union County Parks and Recreation are conducting exercises at Cane Creek Park. These will simulate a number of different situations that could occur in Union County. It basically drills the team, keeps them up to speed, provides individuals that have not had an opportunity to experience that type of operation within these organizations to go out and see what it looks like actually happening on the ground, become familiar with it, so when it does happen, they're well versed in that. These are 12-hour-a-day operations. They begin at noon. They'll begin at noon every day. I say 12 hours, 10 hours, because it'll end at 10 o'clock tonight. But it gives them an opportunity to drill, work, and present different scenarios during daylight, twilight, and at night, which is very different working conditions, especially in high-stress situations that they may be occurring or responding to. So just wanted to make you aware of that. I really appreciate the work that all of those emergency service units are doing in our county. Really am proud of the fact that they are all working together on these exercises, and that they are ready to respond not only when we have something happen here in Union County, but when they are called on to provide mutual aid in other counties, they are ready.
Thank you.
With that, that's all I have this evening.
Commissioner Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, I think everyone's aware that we're right here in the middle of March Madness, and we're proud of our Union County school system, not only their academics, but several of them excel athletically. Parkwood, Piedmont, Monroe, several of these schools had a great season in basketball this year. Just want to give a special shout out to the Weddington Warriors, state 4A champions. Congratulations.
Commissioner Rushing.
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Helms.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Buncombe County and AB Tech for a tour that we were allowed to participate in this week. Commissioner Williams, myself, manager, and staff went up and observed their training facility, and it's very impressive. Also, Dr. Farr went with us and participated. What Mark was describing with the training that's going on right now, that's critical for our people to have that training. He shared pictures of the teamwork that Union County demonstrated and taught Mecklenburg County how it's done in this fire on this power station. So I want to congratulate our emergency services for the outstanding work they do, and do appreciate Buncombe and AB Tech because they have a very impressive facility. I think you'd agree, David.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vice Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple items. One, I'd like to just add on to Commissioner Helms's comments about the trip we took. It was very eye-opening. I was profoundly impressed. And the Buncombe County model is a model where the county basically owns and runs and manages the facilities, the physical plant, and AB Tech, the community college, provides the bulk of the instruction. And I think that very well could be a model that perhaps could work well in Union County. And I was so glad to spend that day there, and I think a lot of us came away with some pretty significant takeaways. I'd also like to just mention briefly that in the consent agenda tonight, there was an item that we passed regarding the disposal of real property. I just want to make sure that everybody here tonight and listening, watching online, knows that there are 2.2 acres that we have now authorized for sale along the Monroe Expressway. I believe it's adjacent to the 4500 block of Seacrest Shortcut Road, if I'm not mistaken. But just so everyone knows, we have authorized this property for sale. It will be sold according to what we're required, according to the requirements of state statute. I think that means advertisement in a newspaper of general circulation. Then bids will be solicited after 30 days. The county, the Board of County Commissioners can choose to accept or reject whatever the bid there is, if any. I believe the last time we did this, we rejected the first bid that we got and went through this process for another iteration. So just wanted to make sure everyone understood that we have authorized the sale of this property, and we obviously want to get top dollar for it if we can, and hopefully the bids that we get are robust. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize, but I think we forgot an item. He took item off the consent agenda for,
Not discussion, he took it off.
Removed it.
completely. We
Yeah,
didn't, we were, okay.
for consideration at another meeting.
Okay, thank you.
As Jerry Simpson told me when he was chairman, I said, "You forgot something." He said, "I got this." Do what?
You'll never let me forget.
Well, it does, I understand what you mean now. I would like to thank all the different agencies here tonight, Union County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Eddie Cathy, Colin, and Miss McLam. It's good to see y'all. You finally smiled. I hadn't seen you smile all night. Miss Hinetail, I miss you, working with you. You're not going to smile, so. Union County government staff, y'all are what makes Union County great. I appreciate the management team. As Mark says, I am a work in progress, and I make mistakes, and I will admit to it, but I really appreciate. It's a pleasure being a chairman for this organization, a commissioner for this organization, and working with these four gentlemen. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Got a motion, all